Hey guys, Shalon here. Welcome to the Bin Zone. On today's video, we're talking about Divorce in Black, the latest Tyler Perry movie starring Megan Good and Corey Hardick on Amazon Prime. If you know Tyler Perry, you know his formula by now. Beautiful, successful black woman being dogged out by a black man that has nothing going for himself until a new light-skinned savior comes in and saves her from a previous shitty relationship. But in this movie, Tyler Perry does do something a little different. This time he made the abusive piece of shit husband light-skinned. I guess that's progress. But in typical Tyler Perry fashion, this movie is very gratuitous when it comes to all the hardships she has to overcome. So without further ado, let's just dive into the movie and break it all down because this movie was heavy. It made me shake just watching some of the stuff Ava had to go through. The movie starts off and it's ridiculous off the jump. They're at a funeral and the preacher is giving a sermon and he basically condemned the person who just died to hell. And you see Ava, played by Megan Good, reach for Dallas, who is played by Corey Hardick, her husband's hand during the funeral, and he moves her hand away. She's trying to console him because his brother died, and he moved her hand away violently in church. This entire scene was ridiculous, to the point where Dallas's family started acting out and started cursing and going crazy in this church. It got so bad, they actually went and took his brother's body out the casket and put it in the back of a pickup truck and drove away. That's how the movie starts. From the very first opening scene, it establishes Dallas's family as a piece of shit family. And even for Tyler Perry, this is gratuitous. These people are evil. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It establishes that they're evil. It also establishes Ava's family and they care for their daughter. They actually love their daughter. And I like the fact that we see that. It introduces that. I like that aspect of it. You see she has the full support of her family and she's loved. So it's not for a lack of love. She doesn't come from a broken home. It's not the typical trope of broken home and now you find out an abuser. So I like the fact that she has a strong support system. But that's pretty much it, because after that, the choices she makes, the things we find out throughout the movie, eventually Dallas ends up leaving her and divorcing her because, I don't know, he feels like he can do better. She's holding him back, even though he is the piece of shit character. From that point on, Ava has to deal with wasting 20 years of her life on this man. And seeing her character grow from where she was in the beginning of the movie as she evolves and breaks free and refines herself, that in itself could have been beautiful. That premise, watching Ava's story, Ava and Benji, Ava and her parents, Ava and Rona, every relationship Ava has in her life is positive when she's away from her husband or ex-husband by the time the movie ends. But the movie really revolves around that relationship. And let's just dive into that relationship because that is the core of the movie. And that is something we have to understand. First of all, we find out very early in the movie, they've been dating since they were 17. And Ava's 37 now, so 20 years of this. Going to prom, he ruined her prom night because his prom night was ruined. His car broke down, he got oil on his tux, and he decided to put oil on her dress and fuck up her dress for prom. So very early on, this abusive relationship started, and that's where the movie kind of loses me. Because it's not as though Dallas became abusive. It's not as though he was a good man and they've had many years of positivity. From before they were even married, he was a piece of shit. And because Tyler Perry wants to get gratuitous with some of the other stuff he's gonna do, the movie has you suspend your disbelief. Because ain't no way, from her parents, the way they've raised her, from her friendships, Ava knows what healthy interaction is. So her and him lasting that long, bullshit. It's just bullshit. But watching the movie go on, the stuff he's done, beat her, spit on her, his family beating Benji, beating her dad, shooting her dad. In the middle of town, Dallas attacked her mother. The lengths that this man went to, her job, all of these gratuitous actions, all of it is downright traumatizing. And that's from me watching. So imagine what she has to go through. And I feel like when you make a movie like this, Tyler Perry doesn't have to make the girl go through so much. The woman doesn't have to suffer that much. Black women don't have to endure that to actually find love. That's the biggest problem I have with Tyler Perry and some of his movies. It feels as though black women have to carry this heavy burden of abuse, beat downness until they finally find someone to come save them, as though they don't have their own agency. Because everything about Ava's life, everything she's learned, even the messages she talks about, even some of the steps she's taken to help Dallas, it shows that this woman is not the type of woman who would take that. After spending a week with her family, she doesn't take that. Her dad is supportive. Her mother is supportive. When she meets Benji, who is a good man, like, I'll tell you one thing about Tyler Perry and making these men, they're good men. Benji is a great guy because there's no way in hell I would have endured half of what he endured for someone I'm not even with, someone I barely know. We went to high school together and you've been married for 20 years. No way. But he endures all that because he sees the value in Ava, except for Dallas and the Ava herself. Because if she saw value in herself, she wouldn't be taking any of that. And I feel as though Dallas wouldn't have to do half the things he did if she valued herself. She would have left. There's no way he gets to that point where he feels comfortable. Granted, it is how he's raised, and I see Tyler Perry try to add some humanizing characteristics to him. The stuff he endured with his mom, having to kill his dad, all that trauma, but that trauma does not justify his actions. That trauma does not make it okay, and it's not something you want to highlight and say, hey, he's like this because of this. No, he's like this because he's a piece of shit. His entire family's a piece of shit. That's just how they were raised. That's just how they roll. When he has a chance to do better, he chooses not to do better. So there really was no redeeming qualities in his character. Overall, the movie as a whole could have been way worse because I've seen worse Tyler Perry movies. It could have been better, but I enjoyed it from start to finish. Some of the stuff that he did really moved me. Like watching the movie, I'm going to say this flat out. Watching the movie actually moved me in certain ways because just watching what she has to endure and seeing her overcome that ultimately in the end was powerful in itself. But just watching some of the stuff unfold, like I said, suspending my disbelief, it's all gratuitous, it's all shock value, but it works. The movie pushes all your emotional buttons and it evokes something out of you. Story is not great. The writing, some of the stuff doesn't make sense the way Dallas is able to move like the boogeyman. One moment he's here killing animals, next thing he's outside her job in Atlanta. It's like he's able to teleport. He pretty much becomes super abuser throughout the movie. He's everywhere, fucking everything up, beating anyone, and no repercussions, no jail time, nothing. And this family bullies, they sexually assault people, they shoot people, and they suffer no consequences just because what? It's not like they have money. They have nothing. There's no redeeming quality that would make anyone in this town stick up for them. But for some reason, they're able to get away with it. Even Jim, Dallas's best friend, there's no way this guy Jim would be friends with someone like Dallas. Like none of the interactions with that family make any sense. Every good character who's smart, has a good head on their shoulders, just allows this to continue, which makes the movie unbelievable to a certain extent. But am I gonna say this movie's bad? No. This movie's enjoyable. You know what you're getting. Once you see Tyler Perry, you know what you're getting. He's gonna change the skin tone of the characters, but overall it's the same thing. And the message is positive. His movies do have a positive message, but just the way to get to that, you don't have to endure all that negativity to get to where you're going. If a nigga beats you and spits on you, there's no saving him. You don't stay with that guy. And those messages is what I have a problem with. Enduring some stuff, you can help somebody. Some people just can't be helped, and that entire family could not be helped. Dallas could not be helped. There was no redeeming quality, and he deserved his death. She should have done that a long time ago, and she would have been justified in it because of the history of abuse. But guys, that's just my thoughts on the movie. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, binge on.